Hey guys. So I'm going to have to ask you to be patient with me tonight because I'm totally solo. I don't have anyone doing comments or anything. And I just walked in the door from driving back. So hold on one sec. Let me fix this. Thank you guys for being here and waiting. Sorry about that. It's kind of a long drive and just got in, had to set up the computer and all that, get my notes, and just trying to go back over them really quick. But hey, Michelle. Hey, Sherrianne. Hey, Casey. Hey, Newfie. So, thanks, Callie. It was so interesting today, but I had to say before I started, I had to say a couple, well, everyone was so nice there. I mean, everyone in that town is so nice. But I had to say a special thank you to Jules of Thought because she did, you guys know how YouTube is. People rarely do anything really. My dog won't leave my side. She missed me, so she's laying right here. People don't really, go out of their way necessarily for you very much. And I told you guys that yesterday, I was number 11. They only let 8 people in, and I watched it from the fairgrounds, which was fine. They have a big screen, and you got to see it from the front. But so today, got there really early again, and they ended up taking 9 people, and of course, I was number 10. So when we got up there and got in, went through the metal detectors and everything, if I miss your comments, I apologize. I will go back after and watch it and catch up and answer any questions. So just be patient because I can't, as you guys know, I can't do both at once. Thank you, executive session. Thank you. So we get up to the front and they're going to take 9 people. And of course, I'm number 10 because that's just how things go. And she insisted on me taking her spot, and I tried to decline it. And, she said, nope, I was in here yesterday. You haven't experienced it. And she basically, said, you're taking my spot, and left and went to the fairgrounds. So I had, she just gave up her spot for me to go into the courtroom. And so it was a totally different experience because of that. So thank you so much. It was really, really generous. Hi, Linda. So it was just really kind and unexpected and nice. And that's just kind of how the mood was there and how everybody was that I encountered in Salida. But yeah, I linked her channel in the description too, because I don't even know how to thank her enough. It was just so thoughtful. And when I went in, I ended up being seated directly in front of, and I would say less than a foot away from Barry's daughters. So that was an interesting experience. Yeah, Bo Peep, it was really, really nice. Welcome, everyone. Sorry if you hear my dog chewing on stuff. She won't leave. Yeah, it was very kind. So thank you to Jules, because my whole day, it would have been different. And the being in the courtroom was a crazy experience. Getting to see exactly how Barry was, and during the breaks and stuff, he would turn around, and we were all in very close quarters. And it really did change everything because I felt differently today than I did yesterday about a couple of things, especially the strain that I personally saw that it's taking on his family and Suzanne's family. I mean, it was a very emotional day, and I'll get to that exactly what was said that made them start crying, but they cried quite a bit. They were just very sad, and they were really sad, crying, sniffling, and it just, and of course, these are just my opinions as far as the evil vibe. Do you mean Barry? I did make eye contact with Barry a couple times because during the breaks, he turns around and looks at everybody. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know him personally. I would say There's definitely a vibe there, but maybe it's the circumstances. I don't know. But there's definitely a vibe. I don't know. But I really do. My heart breaks for his daughters because I saw today firsthand how upset and they are, especially when they start talking about their relationship and what they knew and their part in it. So, I mean, I know a lot of people have been down on them, but if you think about that, I mean, their mom is gone and their dad is, sitting there at a preliminary hearing on a murder one charge. I can't imagine being in their shoes. I really can't. Halo, I would just say, see, it's hard to know if my own bias is creeping in there. I don't I mean, he's an attractive guy. I don't necessarily, find him very likable at this point. I have my own thoughts on him, but again, they love him. That's their dad, and you can see in their face just how upset they are, and the whole thing is just really, really sad for everybody. I mean, the whole family, friends. Exactly, Kimberly. Oh, thank you, Debbie. Yeah, and I know, and I guess people want to just, I don't know, people are just judgmental, and I get that. That's how it always is with everything. But I saw with my own eyes today, I can tell you that they are definitely heartbroken. I mean, before I even realized where they were, that they were, Macy was literally right behind me, I heard someone sniffling and start to cry. And, I didn't want to be rude and kind of encroach on their, emotional moment. So I kind of turned to the side and realized that it was his daughters. And it went on during the whole questioning. It was just really sad. Yeah. Kimberly, I feel like that too. I mean, during the breaks, he makes eye contact with the girls and, they're smiling at each other. Hey, busy mama, another really sweet, wonderful person I got to hang out with. So yeah, they're definitely, and every single time there was a break or every single time there was any opportunity for them to make eye contact with each other, and then they would he'd be staring at the girls, they'd be staring back. So it's just really sad, you guys. I felt bad after today. I just felt, you could just feel how, I don't know, how somber and sad and miserable that they are. Becky, I'll start on that because they did talk about the girls a little bit today, and I think that's what made them upset. So let's see. Today was interesting. I know you guys have probably seen a little bit of coverage on it. There was a lot of arguing and a lot of objections. We just started counting them at the end. I don't know. This is going to be interesting, to say the least. Bo Peep, I was told that he was very sad, at the end, but I personally did not see him cry today. His mother was crying. His daughters were crying. I mean, I feel bad for everyone involved, well, except for him. Sorry, just my opinion. But what he's put everybody through is just awful. Oh, Diane, the brunette. If you're talking about which one I said was aggressive yesterday. I mean, I have respect for them. They obviously are good attorneys. He did cry. Oops, sorry. Hold on, I want to go back up to BZ. Okay, so BZ Mama had a better view and says that he was. Thank you for that. No, I just sat by myself. We had to be, because of, social distancing, we had kind of assigned places that we had to sit. And my assigned place for the day was just, right in front of the girls. It is a heavy energy. That's a good way of putting it. He has a very intense, because a couple of times when he and I made eye contact, it was one of those, normally people look away real quick, but he doesn't. He'll hold your stare or whatever, and he has an intense kind of stare to him. It wasn't, and I don't misinterpret that. I don't mean he wasn't, intimidating or anything like that. It's just kind of how he is. He was like that with everybody. Yeah, possibly C-Dub. Yeah, Lauren was there. We were waiting in line together, and she was on the other side of the courtroom, but she got into, and no, I always I'm Mama Bear. I'm the person that gets uncomfortable and looks away, but I was a little interested in the fact that he doesn't. So I just kind of held his gaze to see how long he would hold it. And it's one of those, like, it was kind of like, yeah, okay. So I probably looked away first. I lost. Oh yeah, I was at the end when he put his head down. Yeah. No, it wasn't like that. He was doing that. He was just very aware of who was in the courtroom. He was very observant of, he would, on the breaks, he would turn and look at every single person that was in there and just kind of take note. So he was just very observant, basically. No, Bo Peep, but it was interesting. He's definitely not as big as I thought he was. He's much smaller than he used to be. Max. So that was weird, and I'll tell you why they started crying, and it make more sense, but I don't know what I'm going to hit on the DNA stuff, because even the judge was confused. And so what I'm going to do is, I think I finally understand it. I'm going to break that down separately. And I mean, I'll touch on it tonight, but explain the DNA. That's going to be really important if this goes to trial. Right? I know, Mama Bear. I really wish he didn't have the mask either. Or some people were suggesting last night the clear mask, which would be great. Yeah, Sherry Ann, I think he was taking it all in, but he really did. He did look at each person individually, and he was just looking at everything. Yeah, Heather, that's interesting you said that. So at the very end, the defense attorneys asked that the judge make the decision right then to, so that he could just not have to sit in jail. And since the judge would not do that, I think that was probably why he put his head on the table, defeated. Because we've got, 3 weeks until his decision. So, yeah, Joy, I don't know. He's definitely lost weight. Well, since I saw him last. Look into my eyes, believe me. The DNA is very confusing, but I think my personal theory, again, I'm not an attorney, but I do think it will be important for the defense, because I think, thank you. I think that they're trying to confuse everybody. And I'll tell you what, if that's their goal, they did an excellent job. Excellent job. Because all of us, I don't consider myself a stupid person. And I was writing everything down. And then I finally put my pen down, like, the hell are they talking about? And then the judge not long after was like, I'm lost. So it was, maybe their tactic is make it so confusing that you don't know what to think. And there's reasonable doubt there. I don't know. Well, I agree that it's irrelevant because I've got my own opinions on it. So I agree with you. But I think what they're doing is they're trying to, because think about it. If you're sitting in the jury and they're telling you the way that they were saying it, and of course it's all in the way they word it and the way they present it, it's confusing. So if they're telling you there's 3 sexual predators DNA in her car, like they were saying today, and they're from these open assault cases in Arizona and here. There's going to be some people who, and that's where they went with it today. Well, why didn't you follow up on that lead? Why didn't you follow up on that investigation? They're trying to show that they honed in on Barry immediately and he was the only suspect. But when you actually break down the science of it, that's actually not correct. And the way it makes sense on why they didn't follow up with those leads, but they want to put the doubt in there. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I know, right? Sherry's opinion. Exactly. So I just think they've got to put enough doubt in there. Oh yeah, I don't want to have any bashing on the daughters because I'm telling you, it was heartbreaking to see how they were today and to see their faces and hear them crying and sobbing and having to be comforted, and it definitely wasn't fake. I mean, they were sobbing. Yep. Cheez-Its, that's exactly what they were doing. And oh my gosh, the objections. I mean, it finally got to the point when we took a break from lunch from 12 to 1:30. So we sit down at 1:30, and within the first, I would say 15 minutes, there were 7 objections by the defense, you know? And some of them before they could even get their sentence out. So it was frustrating. And then the witness would forget what they were saying, and so they'd have to go back to the start, and then they'd lose their train of thought. It was kind of a mess today, in my personal opinion. It was frustrating to watch. Thank you. It was nice to meet you too. Yeah, it's got to be a nightmare for them. Well, the judge actually made a joke about how many objections and that he kept reminding everyone that this is a preliminary hearing. This is not a trial. No, Callie, there's no body. So, yep, I agree, Jukes. I think that's exactly what it is. And it's so basically the main things today, they talked about, okay, so I don't know if you guys have already watched the stuff on the affair, but when the agents told Barry that Suzanne wanted to leave him for her lover, Barry said that her girls would never approve and that she must be out of her right mind. He did voluntarily give the chipmunk gun to the agents that were sitting like a block away from his home. Izzy, sit. Sorry. My dog wants to be on the live. Okay, so one really interesting thing that popped up. Remember how we talked about last night about the left turn versus the right turn, and he said that he went left to follow the bull elk. We talked about how it would have shed its antlers by March. Well, today the defense argued that, I mean, they said that there was no proof on the Burla report, which is the forensic report on the vehicle, that he turned left. So basically, it sounded like the agents kind of played him into that, which they do, and said, well, we have proof on your truck that you turned left. And then Barry volunteered that information and gave that explanation that he, because they were asking him about the missing mileage. And he volunteered the information that he turned left to go after the bull elk. So I thought that was interesting. And then what was the other thing? They talked about airplane mode again. They kind of touched on the same things, but it's almost like they went back, and I'm sure they do, looked at the weak spots from yesterday, and they touched on a lot of those today. Oh, Scott thinks that. Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, I know he did. They were pissed. Izzy, you're right. He admitted that he, on his own volition, he admitted that he turned left. They were mad and arguing that they tricked him into it, basically. Oh yeah, Sherry, thank you. And then I did find out from some people when I was talking to them that, you got to think about the timing. My personal opinion is that he knew about the affair, and that's why they moved to Colorado and why they moved out in the middle of nowhere. A person I was talking to that lives there said that there's not even cell phone coverage out where they live. They have to call over Wi-Fi. So, she's out there isolated. He said himself yesterday, if you guys will remember, that she changed and became a different person in 2018. And and all these facts can be confusing if you separate them, but if you put them all together, it does paint a picture, in my opinion, that, there was a reason for the things that he was doing. It was almost like he was attempting to, I don't know, put her out in the middle of nowhere and thought maybe that would fix it or change things. Exactly, Ozzy. And it came out, they talked about both of them tracking each other's phones. They tried to cover that comment we talked about last night about wanting immunity if he laid his life out. They tried to explain that comment by saying that someone told him not to talk to YouTube people because they'll use it against him. So they were trying to say that, basically he said that, well, are you going to use it against me kind of context? If I tell you everything that happened, can I get immunity? Hold on a minute. I can't really keep up with the comments with over 1,100 people in chat, and I'm completely solo tonight. No one running chat comments because I just came in the door and I wanted to be able to give you guys the info. So please stay respectful and no blaming the girls in chat because they're victims too. And I apologize because I'm going to have to go back and delete things and go back and I can't even really slow it right now. Hey, Teresa. Yeah, it did, Nancy. And thank you, mods, for always being on top of it. What's up?
Hi, beautiful. I'm going to do your backstage for you, but of course I had to go on through my phone. I'm walking to my car now. I just got out of back to school night. What? So I'll take care of your comments. You just take care of your notes.
Thank you.
All right, I'm out of here.
You're going to hide again like yesterday?
No, I can stay on and just mute if you want me to. I was just going to go backstage.
No, it's totally fine. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is fun. I love them. Okay. Thank you, Lynn. So I also didn't want to forget this. If you guys didn't hear, there was suspicion long ago, and I know they're painting this picture. The defense is that he had no idea, right, that she had an affair, or that he had no idea that she had an affair. But I just don't think that things line up in that way. Just my opinion. But when they were on their Mexico trip, he did ask her to hand over her phone, and he went through it. So when they talked to him about the affair, he said he was surprised because when he looked through her phone in Mexico, he didn't see anything. So there's just so many contradictions there that don't add up for me. I just don't believe that. I think that he did know. And I think that he tried to tighten his grip. And I think that he was just losing it more and more. And he said yesterday, that comment I told you guys about, where he said she'd never been this fit in her life and she had never been this ballsy in her life. And that comment stood out to me because he was a guy, in my opinion, from what we've learned, likes control. And she was becoming very strong and standing up for herself. And it was a big change. I mean, they've been together, married for 26 years, and she's changing in huge ways. So yeah, Sandra, I really do. I was trying to look through all my notes, and that's when I said I'm going to separate this kind of by topic in order so I can present it better. But based on everything I have in my notes, I really do think that he knew. Oh, and then yesterday we talked about the fact that he denied ever getting physical with Suzanne. And he said something along the lines of he might have pushed up against her. You know, he might have done something along those lines, but he never got physical. Well, today it came out that he actually did admit to a CBI agent that, oh, I want to get it right. It's basically his hand, I'll find it the exact words, accidentally nicked her nose once. I hate when that happens. Hold on, where is it? That was the gist of it. And I'll hit it when I go, because I'm jumping to make sure I cover it, but it's here. So then we have that. So, you know, day to day it changes. So he actually did, and that was his own admission, right? Accidentally. I am too, Becky. I'm glad that she was getting strong at the end. I think we're going to learn more. We'll see with what happens with the judge's decision. And when agents told Barry that the evidence doesn't support Suzanne coming home, Barry said, then the evidence must be wrong. And yesterday, you know, we talked about how he said, why would God allow me to look bad? Why would God allow this to happen to me? That kind of stuff. Just not a whole lot of accountability there, in my opinion. But, you know, I guess my question to you guys would be, if there are people out there who still, you know, really don't know if he's guilty or not, or don't think he's guilty, I would love to know the alternate scenario, because any one you play through doesn't work all the way through. You know, if you do the Gone Girl thing, you've got way too many holes, because you've got her purse there, her ID there, her medical card. There's cash that was in her purse that she didn't take. She took no clothes. Her boyfriend is still where he was. There's been zero activity on her phone when she was constantly active on it from that same hour when Barry got home. So that doesn't add up. Now, if you go with the random predator, then you have, I think, holes there too. Because for those who have been following the reporters who are in the courtroom and all the evidence, and so far it's weak. There's no cadaver, no weapon, no blood, no physical evidence. That's true. Those are all true things. You know, the cadaver dogs did not hit on the car. There's no blood. I mean, I have a theory on why there's no blood. And we talked about that during the lunch break today. But no, they haven't spoken. In fact, I overheard, it wasn't told to me, but I overheard on lunch that there were some reporters or camera, I don't know what outlet it was. Actually, I think I overheard, but I don't want to say, an outlet trying to take a bunch of pictures of them. So they actually had to kind of run into the court. So, and it was already kind of a hard day for them in the first place. That's a good question, Jojo. I don't know why they wouldn't have swept the hotel room. Oh, I think her phone is long gone. But I mean, it happens. They convict on no body cases all the time. I mean, but I see both sides. I mean, I see why there's some huge problems. And I also see how, to me, all roads lead, in my opinion, all roads lead to Barry by the stuff that we know so far. Maybe someone could have had her murdered, but then when? Give me the timeline, because we know she's active until 2:03 p.m. Barry gets home at 2:44. So were they lucky enough to get her in the window of 2:03 p.m. and 2:44 p.m.? And then if not, he was home. So did they come over and kill her when he was in another room? Or they waited until Sunday morning, but then you've got all the holes in his story. And how would they know that, you know what I mean? They're out in the middle of nowhere. there's a lot of holes there too. So any scenario you guys throw out, that I try to walk through it with the time frame and all the evidence we have, and it just doesn't work, in my opinion. And I personally think that I don't think he shot her with the tranquilizer gun. I think that he used the syringe, if he did, allegedly, if he did. My guess would be that he would have done it with a syringe, hence the syringe cap, put it in his pocket, the cap. You know, getting her with the syringe, she's not going to bleed. So she runs and hides in the bedroom. And what we learned yesterday about the frame, he kicks it in. And then, you know, he would kill her then. Maybe she passes out from the tranquilizer and it's easy at that point. And now that we know that they didn't even have cell phone coverage, okay, so he turns off the Wi-Fi, or he does something, or she doesn't have her phone at the time when he does it. Maybe he takes away her phone. But I mean, out in the middle of nowhere like that, they're home alone. She was screwed when that happened. I mean, she didn't have a lot of options, especially with the tranquilizer. I agree. They did not go. And yeah, and her medications. I mean, if she left, and you want to say that, I mean, she left with the clothes on her back. Maybe, we don't know. And nothing. And no one has heard from her, and there's no activity. She just vanished with no food, no money, no ID. Yeah, the cap was in the dryer. That's what I was thinking. Like, he took the cap off the syringe and put it in his pocket, and probably with all of those things going on, forgot about it. Yeah, in Sherry's opinion. They can't, Shelby. They can't find the meds she picked up. That's correct. They cannot find the meds that she picked up allegedly on May 6th. So that's a good point. But again, that is a good point. That is something that's true. But does that add up to all the other stuff? In my opinion, no. Thank you, Miss Kurt Cobain. No, they didn't talk about that. They did not talk about any kind of dismembering during the 2 days I was there. Okay, that's actually, see, I did everything in order, and then I jump around because I don't want to miss this, because this was important and I thought this was really interesting. So the dryer body cam. So since I was in the courtroom today, I did get to see some of the body cam footage. That was really interesting. And they brought the deputy up as a witness, and they showed them checking the washer and then checking the dryer and taking pictures of both. You know, the washer was empty. They took a picture and shut it pretty quickly. Then you see them open the dryer, take a picture, and shut it pretty quickly. And the first deputy that looked, he didn't see anything. He thought it was empty. So it was the second deputy that said, hey, there's something in there I think you want to see. You need to go back and look at this. I think you're going to want to see this. So they go back, and he puts his hand in there, and you see him reaching into the dryer. And I didn't even notice it the first time. The defense stopped it and said, did you hear that plunk? So they played it back again. And you do hear, it'd be like if I stuck my arm in my dryer and I have a bracelet on and it just clanked against the side. And he was wearing a uniform and all that. And there was a little clank against the metal. And she didn't say it, but we talked about this at lunch, where everyone was led was that she was going to say that he planted it. So she said, what was that noise? And he said, I did pick it up, drop it, and pick it back up. And she said, did you put that in the report? He said, no, I did not. And they kind of left it there. So does that make sense the way he said it? Yes. Is it possible in the world that it was planted? Sure. But that's what they were trying to imply right there. But then they just dropped it right there. The arrest affidavit is, we won't know until September 17th. They're going to discuss whether or not it's going to be released when they announce if he's going to have a trial. Yeah, Audra, I mean, it was interesting because I've never, being in the courtroom and seeing the body cam, and when she said, what was that plunk? Right when she said, what was that sound? I was like, she's going to accuse him of planting that. And everyone kind of, leaned forward and paid more attention. And sure enough, but I mean, he said, I dropped it and picked it back up. I didn't realize that they were supposed to even document those kinds of things in the report. That's possible that Barry walked in. We've talked about that too, that Barry walked in while she was communicating with Jeff. Yeah, so see, these are a lot of the things, and they were bouncing from thing to thing. And just when you'd be kind of reeling from, oh, wow, they're going to use this saying that he planted this, boom, she's hitting you with something else. So I don't know if the coffee was tested. They brought up the coffee cup again today because there's the one dinner plate and the half full cup of coffee, which, according to him, they shared a plate. I did not see a picture of the scratches. I know they were fighting about that yesterday. Defense says there was only 2. They didn't feel that they looked like fingernail marks. Prosecution says they are 3 parallel fingernail marks, or appear to be. Thank you, Holly. Yeah. Oh, there was some of that too. The snide comments towards Suzanne and her friends. Yes, Delana, he has seen and heard more than we know. So there's that. The judge has. Yeah, there is that time. Glam Dolly, there is that chunk of time in between. A lot of people think that it was kind of decided on the 6th. And then, because you've got those texts that, of course, we talked about that yesterday, how he admitted that the saying he was going to commit suicide was manipulation. No, I mean, everyone's going to have their different thoughts on the judge. I personally liked him. I thought he was extremely patient. And he was very even keeled. He sounded fair. I mean, I don't know. And then I guess maybe I'm also biased because the people I talk to from the area have so much respect for him and really like him. Same with the undersheriff, that's obviously giving me a bias there. Yeah, they were, Annie. They were definitely throwing out scenarios. They did talk about the missing 70 to 80K again. But again, there was a blue bag with some cash. Barry said that there was originally a lot more cash hidden in different parts of the safe. But I kind of wonder if the contents of this safe, this is just a thought of mine, were bullets, tranquilizers, the tranquilizer darts, and this blue bag of money. They were all his his contents, his belongings. We don't even have proof that Suzanne had access to that safe. I mean, we don't know that. They'd have to ask the daughters or anyone else, but we don't know that for certain. I do think it'll go to trial, but I know that some people today were saying that, they're worried about it. They don't know. Yes, Glam Dolly, 100%. It's only Barry's word. There is no way to track that back, that kind of money was in that safe. Again, that is just, in my opinion, thrown at the wall to support the Gone Girl theory. But my instincts tell me, I don't know why, when they were talking about that today and what was in the safe, I just thought to myself, I bet you she never had the code to that safe. The way And I've known people like that before who have actually been married to controlling people who have safes and they are not allowed to know the code. And that's what put that in my mind, because he seems kind of similar. But yeah, he doesn't think it will. Oh, that's horrible to think about, in my opinion. But I mean, he would know. Yeah, Pamela, it's just more stuff thrown at the wall. It's just all the doubt. It's going to be that, did they plant evidence? Did they not follow up on leads because of the DNA? Where's this money? It's just so they can have all of these different scenarios. And that's, I think, what it was obvious that they were doing. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. These are my opinions. I'm not saying he's guilty, but these are my opinions based on, researching the case, looking at the evidence. The past 2 days, I tried to go in there kind of with an open mind. The past 2 days, I mean, I feel like I learned a lot about different things, and I'm definitely more solid in my feelings about things. I mean, I think they have their work cut out for them for sure. And I don't want to, I don't know. I felt like some people were more confident than others. Izzy. Some people were more confident than others on the prosecution. Oh, I'm good. I'm just tired. I started this live straight off of the road coming back from Salida. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that part. So this was interesting, being right in front of the girls. And they did talk about the bleach a little bit, but so Barry had told the agents that he thought Suzanne left him. When they asked him what he thought happened, he said that he thought Suzanne left. He was worried that he would be falsely accused. And Barry was documented as saying, "Who would raise my daughter if I'm locked up for something I didn't do?" And yeah, he said daughter, not daughters. But I'm guessing he said that because of age. My personal theory, which again means nothing, just my theory, and I know he hasn't been convicted of anything, is that yes, he, around the time when she said I'm done, which would have been on 5/6, his last ditch attempt was kind of the manipulation of, I'm going to kill myself. He was kind of trying those last ditch efforts. And they talked about that today, actually. Thank you for perfect timing. They asked him about that suicide text and said, did you expect her to respond with, "Oh no, don't kill yourself, don't do it"? And he did expect her to respond, and he said, but it didn't happen. So he was losing control, and his last ditch attempt at manipulation didn't work. So in my opinion, that's kind of when, and who knows how long if he had ever thought about it before. We know that he had been watching some forensic files. I mean, I watch forensic files every night. I'm not planning on killing anyone, so that doesn't mean anything on its own. But you know what I mean? It was about a woman who disappeared on her bike. So many coincidences. He does have good attorneys. I'll give him that. Yeah. Yeah, and do you remember, my brain is mush at this point because I've been thinking about this stuff so much, and I'm sleeping like an hour and a half a night. So I don't remember when was the exact, that was 5:10, right? On Sunday when she said she got the job. Because yeah, any mom would respond to that text. I think that's pretty telling as well. I agree, Teresa. I think this started in Indiana. Great point, Carmen. So if you, because then we think about all these theories to throw crap at the wall, and then you think about the bike. So great point. Where did that go? Thank you, Debbie. Oh, yeah. Well, they got into that a little bit, and you could actually tell that the girls got, Macy in particular, got really upset by that. But yeah, Carmen, I agree. So she picked up her bike, ditched it, walked down the road, threw her helmet, and ran away with nothing in the middle of nowhere. Yes. So when he said that, who will raise my daughter if I'm locked up for something I didn't do, that's when I heard the girls start crying. And Macy in particular was crying really hard. So, and she cried for a while after that, because then they started talking about the text between Sheila and Suzanne. And you could tell that is a sore spot for the girls. He did. I didn't see it myself, but multiple people said he did cry at the end. And right, and he changed clothes all those times. I mean, there's so much. I believe it was 2 years, KK. Yeah, I know. That's how it was yesterday. I forgot to tell you guys 2 things that I had written down because I was trying to get to everything and just tired. And I forgot to mention that when Barry was questioned about her disappearance, that he referred to Suzanne in the past tense to the CBI agents, and that was a point that they talked about quite a bit yesterday. Yeah, that's true, Alicia. And this applies to a lot of other cases, and I know we argued round and round and round about this on the Watts case, and people still won't believe it. They don't care what you say or what you show them, but they confirmed today that some of the stuff that Barry deleted off of his phone, they were not able to get back. So the people that think that they always get everything back that people delete, not true. Celebrate does not get everything back all the time. And there were things they just couldn't get back on his phone. So they just flat out asked him about it. What did you delete? What was the worst thing that you deleted that Suzanne said to you? Things like that. So they didn't get. Yeah, I don't. For those of you who are just joining us, I definitely do not want to pull the girls into this at all as far as blame, because they're victims going through this with both of their parents. And I've never walked a mile in their shoes. I cannot imagine what they're going through at all. And to be honest, I've lost both my parents, and not in this way. And, you never know how you're going to react. And I was actually thinking about that today in the courtroom, because I lost mine to cancer, but I was about their age when I lost my mom. And it's hard because you still need your mom at that age. And so then you cling, I got close with my father, and then he died of cancer. So it is hard on you. So I don't want to put any blame on them at all. Thank you, Kathleen. Absolutely. Oh, you did, Anne? I'm sorry. So that's when they really started getting emotional, and Barry had told agents that he prayed for forgiveness to Suzanne, and he wanted to be the one to tell the girls because he didn't want them to hear it from anyone else. And then he told the girls that Suzanne's sin was no different than anyone else's. I don't know why that makes me want to throw up in my mouth, but it does. I just see again, if you support him, that's totally fine. Just saying, my gut reaction there when I heard that was just kind of, ugh. They weren't there, Jensen. That's why I don't want to, because I don't. believe that. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, J. Latina. So yeah, they weren't there. We know that they were on a trip. And you know what, Pamela? I actually said that to someone today. I just don't want to get into that because I'm not privy to it. So I feel like I'm speaking out of turn. But I think we're just scratching the surface on the whole family dynamic. And I think, just like any family, I'm not saying that in a negative way, any family, we don't know. No, they didn't talk about that at all, Madeline, where Suzanne's body. They didn't talk about the 2 days I was there. They did not. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they're not on trial. They haven't been charged with anything. They weren't there. They were gone. So that's why. Yes, this was the last day. So on September 17th at 1:30 is when the judge is going to decide if it goes to trial. And he's also going to decide if he's going to release the arrest affidavit, which I know we all want to see. I know, I agree. Oh, Delina, I think I just don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Because was it 8? Because we heard from Agent Cahill today. Engrossing 7, maybe? I don't know. I'll get the exact answer. I'm going to have each person written down with their testimony. I now have, it was funny at the end, the judge is like, I have 25 pages of notes. I need to take some time to think about this. I'm thinking, really? I needed to learn how to condense that, but probably an entire notebook full. So that's why I'm trying to hit all the high points for you. Okay, the other thing that really got the girls upset, which really was upsetting. This is, like I said, watching this right there in person. I mean, that's when I really started to feel for them. But right from there, when they were already crying, their friend leaned over to comfort them and took off her mask. And so the judge stopped the proceedings and told her to put her mask back on. He said, I understand that things are really emotional right now. I understand that everyone, this is hard testimony to listen to, but I need you, and you want to comfort your friend, but I need you to put your mask back on. And she did. And then it went on. And they started talking about Macy. And they talked about the fact that Macy may have known that Suzanne was going to leave and that she'd even encouraged her to get a restraining order. Yet, that conflicts with what Barry had told the agents, that the girls would disown her if she left. So they were basically negating that, saying, no, they wouldn't have, because, Macy knew about some of this stuff. And the more they talked about that, the more upset Macy was getting. Ambi, I wondered that. And I also wondered that with the girls, because they did mention the news coverage and YouTubers and stuff like that. And I do think it's pretty common for them to keep tabs, especially at the beginning. So I did get that impression a little bit, but I don't know. And then when she really got upset was when they talked about that Macy, according to Sheila, by the way, and that was when the objections started coming up, because this wasn't direct. This is from, this is hearsay, because these texts are between, this is according to Sheila. So according to Sheila, Suzanne said that Macy suggested that she leave without telling him, without telling Barry. And she started sobbing when they said that Suzanne texted Sheila that Macy had told Barry to leave her alone. And that's when I heard her get really upset. So, and they objected to that because That didn't come from her mouth herself that we know of. There's no way to prove that. Oh, I'm so sorry, Carol. Leave me a comment or whatever if you ever, feel free to reach out to me. I'm so sorry to hear that. Susan, they weren't there. Just Barry's family was there. Yep, and they weren't there, and, there's now this big rift in their family, which is also heartbreaking. Mandy, I couldn't. I really can't. I personally believe that there will be a trial, but I'm not an attorney. This is just based on my gut feelings and based on other things, so I don't know. No, Jojo, I haven't, but I can after this. No. It will be interesting to see if it does go to trial, if they will call him to the stand. I would imagine they would want to, which would be, everyone's going to want to hear that. Yeah, Heather. All the defense attorneys think he'll walk or at least get bail. It's definitely possible. Could one of the mods grab Carol's email or something like that, if you don't mind? Or Carol, could you contact one of my mods? Don't put it in here, please. Don't put it in chat. Yeah. I just don't think they want it to be there. I think it would be really hard. There's a lot of tension today, a lot of emotions today. Yeah. I really hope not. So that's when they got really upset. And let's see if that was all that was there on that. And pretty much when they brought Macy into it and they started talking, the defense objected to absolutely every statement they would make. Every single sentence that they would start to say with her involved was objection. I object. So it went nowhere. So they just switched topics. I have no idea. Yeah, Macy is the youngest daughter. So, yeah, it was just more of a heavy day than even yesterday was. It was definitely heavier today. And then I told you guys about the evidence comments and the mask. Told you guys that Suzanne and Barry were both monitoring each other's phones. So that gives you even better idea into the status of their relationship. Told you guys about Mexico and how he had her hand over her phone. Let's see if I got it. He did at one point. I don't know if anyone else touched on this. He did. The judge said at one point, I just want to get this over with. He said he feels like, oh, watch out, Izzy. My dog's about to knock over my light. He complained that he wanted to get it over with and feels like he's getting an objection every third question. So he was definitely getting frustrated, and just to hear him say the words, I just want to get this over with, was interesting. What else? Oh, here's the exact quote. Barry disclosed to the CBI that he had accidentally clipped the side of Suzanne's nose with his hand. Those are his exact words. I agree, Glam Dolly. She just wanted, she wanted out. I don't know, Donna, if it's going to be streamed. It would be great if it was, right? I know. Right? Accidentally. Yeah, I wondered why he wouldn't fix that, but I mean, I guess he wouldn't have had time. Like, if he did that on the 9th, I had the same thought, Ginny. But he left to go to. He didn't have any time there really. He left to go to Broomfield, and then the police were at his house when he got back, and they escorted him into the house. As we saw today on the body cam, they escorted him into the house to get some items of her clothing. But other than that, he couldn't be in there. So. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to touch on the rifle. I told you guys about the cadaver. Did not hit on his truck, which again, interesting. But I have a theory on that too. I just don't know how much. I don't think she was ever in his truck. Oh, thank you, JoJo. I don't know, Jukes. And we actually talked about that on one of the breaks. We talked about that we see these cases all the time, right? We see these cases and we all know that the most dangerous time for a woman is when she's leaving. And we also know that a lot of times they have an instinct right before, and a lot of times they tell a family member, if something happens to me or I'm scared. I can think of 5 cases off the top of my head that we've talked about that they've done exactly that. I would just say to any woman who doesn't feel safe to just go. If I were to just throw out thank you, Steph, love you. If I was just to throw out a random theory, I think that, after he killed her, he would have, I'm sorry to be graphic, but I mean, we're talking about facts here and theories. I think he would have taken her out, and did what he does. I mean, everything relates back to hunting and animals. I think that he would have handled it the same way. He had the river right there. Didn't he make a comment at one point that bears had eaten her? I mean, I think that the 5 trash runs were getting rid of evidence. But I think that that's why he was all over the place, and he was active during the night. And he knows that, and we've heard he knows the area like the back of his hand. I don't know how many times I've heard that. Yeah, and unfortunately, that's what I think he did. Yep, Beth. He did say the mountain lion, but I think he also said something about a bear, and I don't want to speak out of turn because I can't remember what the exact statement was. Oh, I'm so sorry, Pamela. Yeah, I think we see time and time again. Thank you, Dana. And I know, I mean, it's hard, you guys. It's hard because I do have a definite opinion on this. I could be completely wrong. There could be something else that happened. I just mean, when you look, like we talked about last night, when you look at it in totality, that's where it leads me. All of these separate things that they're throwing out, or like little different things, can lead you off in different paths for sure. I just think when you put it all together, that's where it goes. Hi, Faith. So C-Dub, I have read that, and I would think every woman should read that. Every person should read that. That is a great book. C-Dub. Well, not likely. Right? The chipmunks. God. Let's see. I think that was the main stuff, but maybe not. They went over again. They went over this yesterday too. They went over again, just to be sure that it was the neighbor, Jean Ritter, that was told by Barry to look for the bike. And then the defense kept wanting to clarify, and I'm not real sure why, but the exact way that went down. And then Jean told the police to look for the bike, because the original question was what made them go look for the bike. Oh, and when they talked about the cap from the syringe, they did touch on the gun, and I will get there too. But like I said, there's some conflicting info on whether or not it was functioning properly, because for whatever reason, the deputy did not think that he made a statement actually on the report that the dart gun was not functioning properly. However, Barry himself admitted that he used it in April, so a month before that. So there's conflicting information on that. I, again, don't really think that matters, because he easily could have got her with the syringe. I've heard great things about Linda Stanley. I only heard her talk a little bit yesterday. She didn't really speak today. Oh, it's possible. Yeah, and we know that we've heard cases like that before too, where they watch true crime channels and they watch forensic files and they watch. There's a lot of cases like that. Yeah, I don't know how important that dart gun is. I really don't. And then let's see what else. I just want to make sure I don't forget anything. We went over the laundry room. That was really interesting. I think that was one of the most, I would say, if I could, I don't know the right term, suspenseful, I guess, moments of the day was when they talked about the dryer, and she was going down the path of him, suggesting that he would have planted that cap. Oh, I will watch that. Thank you. It was the spy pen was in the master bedroom. It was buried in a box of her bras. So I wondered if that affected the audio at all, and if that, insulated the sound and it didn't activate because of that. So I don't know. Oh, I missed what she said. And I don't know if I'll be able to get back up to it. Yeah, I don't know how far up that is. Oh, the reason he used a tranquilizer gun was so that the cadaver dogs wouldn't pick up on her scent. Oh, that's an interesting point. Oh, well, I was talking about that earlier because I'm probably going to have to do a separate video. The DNA stuff today was so confusing. Like I said, the judge actually stopped everything and said, "I'm lost." So, yeah. It was very confusing because, again, they're throwing out that these 3 hits, and then they explained that people think that when someone says it's a code, it hits. Oh, there's a CODIS hit. That means it's an absolute match, and that's not how that works. It just means that it's an investigative lead, is how they put it, and then they have to go, get an actual standard DNA test from the subject if they think there's enough reason to even believe that they would be a suspect. If they can't get it voluntarily, they have to go get approval from a judge and show that they have enough probable cause to get it involuntarily. And so it was a lot more technical than the defense was trying to make it, but they basically went down the road of, why didn't you follow up on these leads? It's because you wanted it to be Barry from day one. You didn't. There's these 3, registered sex offenders. One was in Tempe, one was in Phoenix, I think, and one was in like Chicago. Why didn't you go, and they're just trying to plant out again that police didn't do their jobs, just like the planting of the cap, or them implying that is what I mean by that. I personally do not believe that was the case. Yep. Yeah, and there was no answer. Exactly, Glendale, and that's what they're counting on too. People think when you say it's a match or the code is a hit, and that's what they had Agent Cahill explaining, and it ended up to be over and over and over and over again, to the point, this is going to sound terrible, but it's truth. She repeated the same sentence so much that I almost fell asleep at one point. I'm not kidding. Because I can only listen to the same question so many times before it was absolutely ridiculous. And everyone in there was frustrated. I mean, they just kept saying, the defense kept repeating the same question. He kept giving the same answer. And it just went round and round like that. And right, Sarah? I am surprised they didn't take her bikini either. But they had said yesterday there wasn't much showing. They didn't, and they are hitting on those points. Why didn't you search the hotel room? Why didn't you take the bikini? And there are some of those things that, I had to sit there and think, why didn't they do that? But again, I'm not an investigator. So maybe there's a reason that they didn't do that. There was a kind of a funny exchange between, where was it? It was about the chlorine and the bleach, because they were talking about his hotel room. Both days that we were in there, they have pushed the fact that his room was directly above the pool. And they really, the journal missing is a big deal. I think the general consensus of everyone was that he burned the journal. And there was also a long metal piece that it sounded like there was a hanging file that was possibly burned as well. So what could be in that hanging file to burn, and what could be in that journal? I know, Lisa B. I agree. Where was let me see if I can find that before. That's the plunking sound. I was trying to find, he made a comment about, he referred to the chlorine as bleach, and they didn't like that. They asked him why and he said, I thought that those terms were interchangeable. And so they were kind of playing semantics there with each other. I don't know how important that is, but I had it written down. It was okay. So Agent Cahill was a tough witness for a couple different reasons. We talked about this at lunch, but it was hard to tell at some points if he was deliberately being difficult, or if he was just giving her these really straightforward answers and it didn't seem like she liked them. So she would ask him the same question again, and he would give her the same, hey, Tia. And they would ask, I mean, and this is what I'm talking about. When I was just going cross-eyed, it was over that. She didn't like his answers. He didn't like her questions. That was a rough exchange. Right, Pop Rocks? Yeah, she did not like him using the term bleach. And then she made some comment, I'm paraphrasing because I'm not going to sit here all day and look for the comment, but she basically said, when you go swimming, do you say that you smell like bleach or chlorine? And he said, well, I don't really know. I don't have that great of a sense of smell. So, and everyone started laughing because it was, that's how they were back and forth for a really long time. What felt like eternity, honestly, and he had been on a military leave, and he kept telling her, well, ma'am, I've been on a military leave. Well, ma'am, I've been on a military leave, so I don't know. And then she asked him again, well, ma'am, I've been on a military leave, so I don't know. And I'm not kidding. It just kept going in a cycle like that. So finally they got the dates of the military leave to kind of be like, all right, he was gone for these 3 months. So that's that. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, thanks for sending that to me, BZ Mama. I missed that comment. Yeah, that's definitely possible. He tried to shoot her with the dart and it jammed. She ran into the bedroom and tried to get her gun. He busted down the door and used her phone charger. Yeah, I mean, well, we don't know. And, think about this, okay? I thought it was weirder that Barry's, and we talked about this too. I mean, all of us that were together, but we thought it was strange that Barry's DNA wasn't on those things, that it wasn't, in her car in those areas, and it wasn't on her bike, and it wasn't on her helmet. If that car had been serviced or anyone else had driven it for any reason or been worked on, I mean, there are explanations for other people's DNA to be on that bike or in the car. I mean, it's going to be interesting, you guys, because as much as I said yesterday that Eaton, is how you say her name, grated on my nerves because I find her highly aggressive and condescending. And my personal opinion, I don't think that's going to translate well to a jury. Everyone in Salida is some of the friendliest people you've met in your life. They don't know a stranger. I don't think that kind of abrasive personality is going to play well. I just don't. And I'm not necessarily sensitive to that kind of personality, but it was a bit much for me, and most people agreed with me. I find it interesting, and I guess it works for her. She's has a great record, but to me, every witness came off the stand annoyed. There would be pissed, and she just came across to me. I mean, she's obviously very intelligent, very sharp, good at what she does, but she does come across to an outsider as being extremely condescending and abrasive. Yeah, Leah, I just think it's a little bit strange that his DNA was not there. Which part? When they affected? No, I agree, Beach Girl. And I'm just saying that all of those little things matter because it just does. Because I found myself trying to, I was impressed. I'm not going to say I wasn't. I was impressed by the defense attorneys. He has good attorneys. But I could not get past her personality, and I am not the only one that felt that way. And maybe that's a personality she puts on in the courtroom. And I get that. And it's not just being a strong, assertive person. This is just my opinion. And we did talk about this with some other people who shared this opinion. She does seem like she kind of berates the witnesses and is condescending. And I do think it might work against him in this case. It's just my opinion. I think you'd have to be there to see what I'm talking about. But it was a topic of conversation. I was confused at that part because they were crying behind me and my attention was kind of shifted to the girls at this point. But there was some comment made when they were talking about, and I bet you Lauren would know better, but because I was absolutely plugged into Macy and Mallory at that point, but they were talking about the text exchange between Sheila and Suzanne, and there was a throwaway comment that she made about, well, they lie, or she lies to her, or they lie. And I don't want to commit 100% to if they were referring to Suzanne or Sheila, but it was a cheap shot. But yeah. And they asked Barry if he had any regrets. The agents did, if he had any regrets. And his answer was interesting. His answer was, I'm paraphrasing, that he regretted taking her for granted, and he regretted spending so much time making money and hunting. Those are his regrets. I agree, Glam Dolly. That was my only point. I'm not coming down on her as a person. Obviously, she's, from what I've read about her, she seems to be a great attorney. I'm just saying that's just my perspective. I think it was interesting. Oh, well, Teresa, yesterday, Barry referred to himself as Suzanne's ATM. And today it was kind of like, sorry that I took her for granted and sorry I was busy making money. Good night, Sarah. So, yeah. And there's an angle with everything. I mean, he's got a full army of female attorneys, right? And it's very, I mean, you take notice of that. And they're very, close with him, friendly with him, want to show that he's not dangerous. And I've seen that done in so many cases. I've watched cases where, and this is a totally different case, but I remember a case where I sat in on a child SA case, and he had two female attorneys and they were rubbing his back and leaning on him, and it was just, but so we know those tactics and stuff. So I do think every little detail matters, and I do think that could rub some people the wrong way. Just what I'm saying, especially in that demographic and how nice everyone is there. I agree, Busy Mama. Right? Same. My back hurts from sitting in those damn metal chairs yesterday and then sitting so many hours of sitting. I had to go take a walk tomorrow or something. You're old when you're sore from sitting. Right. Too bad Tammy Lee could not get Barry to take a polygraph. Right? That'd be something to see. So let me see if I got everything. I mean, the DNA, like I said, I will do something separate on that because that would take me a whole other 45 minutes to explain, and I don't want to not explain it right because it is confusing. So I have all these terms written down that I'm going to research and look up, geek out on it so that I can actually explain it in a way that it makes sense. Well, the jury might care. That's my point. And that matters. You want, they're going to want Barry to appear, people to be compassionate towards him. Thank you, Ageless Beauty. And if I felt that way and plenty of others felt that way, and we talked about it, it might be an issue. Yes, she did, BZ Mama. Thank you for reminding me. So I haven't saying it tired. She got aggressive with her own witness. Yeah. Yep. Everything has its strategy there. Yeah, I agree, Sherry Ann and Beth. It's very, when we were standing outside waiting to go in and you see all the women walk in dressed, beautifully with their suitcases, and they're all walking in to defend him in a line. I mean, there's a reason for that. And it's definitely going to be something that's noticed. No, that wasn't talked about at all today or yesterday. There could be. I mean, I'm so anxious to get to the 17th. I can't believe we have to wait 3 weeks. But he had a really good comment, and so I think I hit on the biggest ones because that's all DNA that I need to make a separate video on. And yeah, here's when I started tracking the objections after lunch. I stopped at 7. But let's see. Yeah, I touched on this briefly, but at the end they begged the judge to make a decision right there. And so that Barry wouldn't have to stay in jail. I should do. And yeah, they will put the girls on the witness list. Oh, sorry, I can't keep up. I don't know if she said that to him. I know what I'm doing. Thank you to the judge. I mean, would that surprise me? No. Oh, actually, she did say something, but she was kind of laughing. She got up and she was correcting something that she did before. Actually, she said it in a joking manner. She said, I'm coming back up. I know what I'm doing now. She was actually saying that in a joking manner. I wondered about that too, Diane. That's an excellent point, by the way. But sorry, went off on a tangent. But at the very end, I really did like his statement. The judge said, I'd rather make the right decision instead of an expeditious one. And he said that he had the 25 pages of notes, that he wanted to take his time, go through everything. Hey, Christy, and come back with, hey, Queen Bee to you, and come back with a good decision, not a quick one. And we all have to respect that, right? But it's going to be a long 3 weeks, I feel like. Yeah, I was just going to say that. Great minds, Michelle. She's behind the curtain tonight helping me out because Lord knows I can't talk and click buttons at the same time. I agree, Michelle. It's the girls and the family members on both sides and the friends and and I'd even talked to some of Suzanne's friends yesterday and everyone's just heartbroken. They can barely talk about it, the ones that know her, without getting choked up and emotional. It's awful for everybody. Busy mama. Yes. Yeah, here's everybody. Thank you, Stephen. I wish that were true. Oh, hey, Truth Seeker. Whoa, that jumped. Okay. I don't know if they'll be there. It'll be interesting to see if they come or not. I would guess if there was a trial, they'd come in for that possibly. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get down there for that, but I'm going to try. But it's just that it's going to be a quick hearing, and that's a long drive for that. And I'd like to go down for the actual trial if there is one, so I might just do that instead. Yep, Sherry Ann. I thought we were going to get more bombshells today, and I thought we were going to, and today was kind of odd. It was not what I expected it to be. So I know, Leslie. And again, if you guys are frustrated because you love questions, I actually I want to mention, I felt so bad last night because I was so tired. I missed so many questions and I saw some people got frustrated. I put a post up on the community wall, and if any of you guys have questions that I missed or that you think of, just drop them under that post and I will try my hardest. It might not be immediately, but I'll try to get the answer for you. And if I don't know the answer, I'll try to get it for you from someone and answer it. So, because I know that's frustrating. So it's just hard in a live like this with this many in chat, but I definitely want to get to your questions. So I knew one person that was wearing it. So I didn't see a lot because there were only 9 of us that got in there that weren't media or family. And again, thank you to Jules of Thought, who gave up her place in the courtroom for me to have the opportunity to sit there, since I was at the fairgrounds yesterday and she was in the courtroom yesterday. Amazingly generous thing to do and changed my whole experience there. So cannot thank her enough for that. If you should pop over there and show her some love or something. I mean, people just don't do stuff like that. It was extremely generous. I agree, Annie. I wish I could, not all at the same time. Yeah, exactly. And I linked her channel in the description. I feel like that's the least I can do. So if you're not subbed to her, please go sub. I agree, Truth Seeker. I do. I think everyone in that courtroom, I'd have to ask, BZ Mama and everybody else, but you do feel the energy in there. It's very heavy and dark. Glam Dolly. Yes, that's what I'm telling you. I don't know what it is about Salida. They are the nicest people. And it was just, everyone was, the generosity was in the air. Someone gave up, Lauren and I were ready to go over to, there was a group of us just like, oh, well, going to go over to the fairgrounds. But yeah, someone gave up their seat for Lauren and then Jules gave up her seat for me. So several really nice people today. Oh, thank you. That was just really cool of her. No, Christy. I know. I was like, all right, last night I'm like, I'm going to get sleep, right? And then I just could not stop. I was going over notes and then I had to watch Lauren's live and I was watching Jules live on it. And because I like to get everyone's perspectives in case I miss something. And, all of a sudden it's 3:30 and I got to get up at 6:30. So whatever. I have not seen the Love Has Won compound. That's a great question. Living life in Hawaii, and I did not notice. Oh, thank you, Christy. I didn't notice if he had a wedding ring on or not. Thank you, Diane. I know it was really cool. I cannot express enough how nice everyone is there. And so this would be a really weird thing, or just out of the ordinary thing there. I mean, everyone knows everyone. Everyone I encountered wherever they worked, ran into on the street, ate somewhere, were just the nicest people. I need to go watch Scott's video because I have a feeling he'll have a lot of points that I don't. Okay, he was the one who I'll have to fill you on all that. We went over that a little bit, but he was the one that was going back and forth with the defense attorney, Agent Cahill. It was entertaining, and then it was irritating, and then, but yeah, those two are like oil and water. Thank you. Oh, I'm tired. I don't know if he did or not. No. No. It's not dismissed. We won't know till September 17th if there's a trial or not. He's going to remain in jail. And one other interesting, really quick thing before we wrap everything up. Yesterday, we were talking about the fact that when there would be breaks, I mean, Barry's not shackled at all. He has a suit on. He had a gray suit on yesterday. It was like a grayish brownish suit today. It's a weird color, but it was a nice suit. He looked very nice. And he did not have anyone watching him yesterday. He just could get up and walk around pretty much freely during the hearing yesterday, which we thought was interesting. I mean, no one, I don't know, it was odd. He did his own thing. He's walking around. Today, he had 2 bailiffs on him. The minute there was a break, the minute he stood up, he immediately had 2 bailiffs on him standing, a foot from him on each side. So what was the change between yesterday and today? I don't know, but definitely notice that. Stephanie. I agreed, Glam Dolly, but I am going to go. And I say watch everyone's videos that were there because you want to get all perspectives. I personally would be shocked if this doesn't go to trial, but that is just my opinion. Again, I'm not an attorney, so. No, he wasn't there, DJ. I know, Tony. Of course, I thought of that, right? I don't know how far you're going to get in Salida. I mean, you're out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where you're going to run to, but yeah. So, oh, thank you, Patricia. So thank you guys for watching tonight. And like I said, I'll make a video and try to explain the DNA better. But basically what it boils down to is they were trying to make it more complicated than it is. They were trying to insinuate that the investigators didn't do their job, didn't go down all the rabbit holes and look at all the people they should have, and that they honed in on Barry from the beginning. And it's not that simple. The CODIS hit doesn't mean someone did it. So yeah, it's just a lead. So Danielle, I thought about that because we did talk about it and everybody was wondering about it yesterday, why he had no security. So maybe they did it got back to them and they changed it up today. Thank you. I appreciate that. Right. Well, there was a lot of that going on, especially with the dryer today. I was a little surprised, but I guess I shouldn't have been. Yes, you can come with me, Steph. You're so funny. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to jump off. Thank you so much for being here tonight and listening. If you missed anything, please go back, listen to the beginning. Like I said, if you can, go show Jules some love because that was just really cool of her to do that today. So, love you guys so much. And Teresa will have her live on Friday. And we'll have Patreon True Crime and Wine tomorrow night. Bye, guys.